Alex Kimbrough, welcome to the MPA Community Check-In. Andrew Alden and myself have been going around the community talking with members and asking them about how they've fared so far in this epidemic, this pandemic. And I'm happy to see you, sir. How are you?
Happy to be seen. Happy to see both of you. I enjoyed working with you both, doing fine symphonic music.
We miss it. We miss it.
We miss it.
Yeah, and the situation would be untenable in that situation, in that small control room. Andrew and I have discussed that. In this new social distancing situation, it would be difficult to operate in that little control room. No,
That's absolutely true. You're absolutely correct. Even in my current work, things had to change radically in order for us to still function. And I think it's still evolving is the other part of it.
So far, I'm sorry to interrupt, but for some people that may not know you, I can't imagine that to be true, but where is it? Where do you work, sir?
I am a director at WJBK Fox 2, and
Okay.
I direct the news 5 days a week, 6 or 7, depending upon who shows up or doesn't show up. But I am a newscast director, and, directing the news requires a team of people, and we've had to diminish the team, not only in the control room, but even in the studio. We have separated our talent. We have separated people in the newsroom. We are doing things I didn't think we would ever do. People working from home. Unfortunately, they haven't figured out a way for me to work at home yet. But I think they were still working on that. So I don't know what happens by the time I get back. Will I have a place to go to? I don't know.
Well, that's interesting information. I mean, what have you found so far as your safety is concerned, keeping the workers safe?
What I found is, and I have to give Fox, they're due on this. They immediately jumped into this and tried to find ways to separate all of my coworkers. The newsroom used to be a buzz with people that is now quite empty. They went out and purchased computers and gave them the software that they needed to stack and write their newscasts from their houses. The talent, our anchors, have been set up in their homes. They have lights, they have a microphone and audio set up for them to Skype in and to co-anchor their shows from their kitchen or closet. I've seen a variety of things. We keep one person in the studio, I've noticed, I think just in case the Skype doesn't work, because at any given time, anything could just go down. So at least we'll have somebody in the building.
Sure.
Even though the producers are producing from home, they do keep a person in the control room to babysit the show in case their ability to produce from home falls apart. What I do, I don't know if anyone notices in our newscast, I have to code the newscast. In other words, I have a program in which I have to drag icons into a script, and those icons are the things that make the cameras pan, zoom,
Right.
all of those things. And I have to code that. I used to code it in the newsroom. They've now set it up so I can code from my office. I have an actual office at Fox 2 with a door.
Wow.
And I can go in there and I code all of my shows from in there, and I don't even walk into the newsroom at all. I still print a paper rundown for the crew, and I distribute them very carefully. I put up a stack in the studio, give one to what would normally consider my TV, and this basically just 3 people in the control room now, and that's all we do. So
That's a big change. That's a huge change.
It's a massive change. You know, we're doing things that I didn't think were possible at one point, but
Sure.
they found ways to do workarounds, and that's how we have to do stuff.
No teleprompters?
There are still teleprompters. There's someone still running a teleprompter.
Oh.
Even though they have the ability to run the prompters on their own, the talent really doesn't want to do that. So the poor IATSE guy has to sit in there and run prompter.
Wow.
Which is infinitely better. You know, when the talent tried to do it, it just, you know, God bless him, but you needed the IATSE guy to sit there.
Yeah. Some of that deer in the headlights look, yeah.
It really was. So and the talent eventually said, you know, we have to have this. We can't just do this on our own. We need a stagehand and a floor director. The other part of that, let me also state, we have 3 studios at our station, and sometimes we would have to separate the talent if they were all in the building, and so we need to have a floor director in each studio. You know, so.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, part of the without getting into the weeds of contracts, they have to have a floor director. You know, if they're going to do something in the studio, there needs to be a floor director. And if you're going to do multiple studios, then you need a floor director in each studio in use. So you have a floor director in Studio C, one in Studio A, or one in Studio B, and then someone to run prompter. So, you know, it's part of their contract, and it's something that we have to acknowledge and have to do. So
yeah. Well, it's more than a lot of us can do.
Yes.
All my work has disappeared. I was supposed to go to Grand Rapids on the 16th for a commercial. That disappeared on the 14th, but they waited. They weren't sure. I kind of had a feeling because my other jobs had disappeared. And now finally, Auto Show has been canceled.
So I found out yesterday. That's really something.
That was a big deal. Yeah.
But that is a big deal. I take you didn't do any of the sports stuff.
No, but we're very aware of Kelvin, who
Okay.
was in the hospital, Kelvin Calhoun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this fellow was at the New Orleans Jazz event at LCA.
Oh my. Okay.
And he interviewed the several players in the locker room who later came up positive with this bug.
Right.
So, and he got it several days later, and he's been in the hospital on a induced coma.
Wow.
It's a terrible thing. He's got, for anyone listening, he's got a GoFundMe page.
Okay.
IATSE has it up on their Facebook, and just so everyone else listening knows.
No. Yeah. Well, my prayers to him and to everybody else who's out there suffering with this stuff. Everett Cassimy, from Channel 4, the anchor, he's come down with this. So that was a wake-up call for all of us in the morning show. Like, great. Right. So we have an anchor who's down. We're now being extra vigilant. And that's scary stuff. I mean, it really, really is.
Once you put a face on it, it becomes very scary.
So I don't freelance much anymore. Mm-hmm. And even if all the freelance stuff is dried up anyway, nobody's doing anything anymore, which is unfortunate. I know that some freelancers, they benefited from being paid even though the games weren't on anymore. So I don't know if that happened for a lot of people, but for a few they did. We're about to train a per diem director. We're just trying to figure out how we're going to do it. Because, this lady would have to be near us. And do we really want that? But I don't know. We'll work that out. When I get back on Tuesday, I'll see what they've come up with. She knows how to direct. It's just learning to direct what we do is part of the challenge. So I know what is it that, so you're not doing much work at all, are you, Philo?
At this point, I'm keeping busy with Andrew doing these. which doesn't
Very
pay
good.
me anything. I'm look, but you know, I'm looking for work, and I mean,
Sure.
and I've applied for unemployment, so you know that's something.
Right.
My wife is currently, you know, she'll be back at work on Tuesday. She's been off for a couple of weeks.
Good for her. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Andrew, I take it is faring well. Are you doing well here, Andrew?
Yeah, I
Your
mean,
world?
all my work, I was basically done for this season at the DSO for directing. They had me making some like interview content. I'm guessing that's all gone away. I'm almost certain of that. And then all my other gigs, all my other little side gigs to help pay the bills are also gone.
Wow.
They all just disappeared, and get time to myself now. But Teresa's still working for the DSO, so that's good.
I was doing the opera at the Michigan Opera Theater. Then they decided to end the season, so all of my opera work ended. It's like okay, which makes sense. So none of the artistic stuff is around. Just this boring, pedantic, you know, TV news garbage. However, they consider what I do, and I kid you not, essential. I have a letter that allows me to drive back and forth to work, and if I'm stopped, I can pull the letter out and say I consider the essential personnel. I have that now. I have papers now.
You got papers.
That's the part. I have papers to allow me to go back and forth. Part of the new normal. So,
yeah, I don't have these papers to get around.
They distributed that to all of us in the news department so we can go and still do news.
Yeah.
And we can go get gas. That's the other thing. I have one piece of paper that allows me to get gas, and I have another piece of paper that allows me to just travel where I need to go back and forth to work. So, welcome to the United States.
in 2020. Wow.
Right.
What a year.
I keep it in my car, so in case I'm pulled over, I can show them my papers. They can leave me alone. That's where we are right now. That's a tragedy.
Sure. How is your lovely wife, Rosalind?
Mrs. Kimbrough is good. She's at home now. She was working for the City of Detroit's Department of Elections. And they just finished certifying the election that they just had. There's an entire process of canvassing the election where they have to go through all the ballots to make sure they're done properly. I think a person in their canvassing group came down with COVID-19. So at that point, they had to separate everybody and keep people home. So she's at home right now, which is fine. You know, she'll stay here, but she's working from home. So she's getting many meetings at our house on the phone. She's learning how to bring calls into her phone so she can talk to multiple people. She doesn't know about the Zoom concept, but but she's learning how to do this. So I'm glad that she's home. I'm glad she's safe. Same with my son. The unfortunate part of my son is that he's a high school senior and he's supposed to graduate. And I don't think he's going to have a commencement. That's the heartbreaking part of this for me.
Sure. He will graduate, but he won't have a commencement.
He won't have a commencement. No cap and gown ceremony, which is painful for me because you only get that once. So of everything that goes on, if that could have happened, I would have accepted it, but that can't happen now. So
yeah.
It's he's doing well with it. I think he's accepted it. He's done a lot better with it than I am. You know, I'm the emotional dad. You know, I waited 12 years for this moment, and
it's an achievement. And he's now unable to publicly recognize it.
Right. You know, we thought about doing some kind of private ceremony. You know, we'll have him at home and, you know, hand him a diploma, you know, but cap and gown. But it's not the same. But, you know, something. I'll take pictures and everything else. But I feel horrible for all these kids who are about to graduate, and now their senior year is over. And the parents and the grandparents, you live for that. And that part's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that. We're going to get through this, though. What's your feeling about? Do you hear anything about length of time or how we're going to get through?
I don't really know. There's no definitive barometer to say at this point we can just start going back to how things work. I don't know how you measure that.
Right.
Every day, the numbers continue to tick up. The number of people who are infected and the number of people who are dying. So at what point, we're trying to flatten the curve, but then what? There's no cure so far.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do, and how does this work? How long are we going to be socially distant? I have no idea how we stop this or how we go back to a different time. And then I start to wonder, will we go back to a different time, to the previous time? I look at how the companies are probably saving money, keep them at home. We saving a ton of money on satellite time for all of our guest interviews are done through Skype, or I don't think we're using anything else but Skype. We don't have to set up a satellite anywhere. People are doing cooking segments from the actual kitchens.
Yeah.
We could save on crew. We don't have to send anybody somewhere.
Sure.
Will this be the new normal? Will a generation of people get so used to this that they don't know how to mingle with each other anymore? I'm just going to be in my house, and I've learned how to function within my own world, as opposed to, as you and I have grown up, the camaraderie of other people. I don't know. I have no timeline. The president has his timeline, which we won't debate that here. But
yeah,
we'll keep this platform friendly. I don't know. It's from a broadcasting point of view. It was always a team effort, and now we're not quite as team oriented as we used to be. Yeah. And that's an unfortunate tragedy about this. We have sequestered ourselves and yet try to put together a product. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, everybody sees what the product looks like. They're used to separation. They're used to people being in screens, in semi-coherent pictures.
Sure.
And we'll day in a time that this would never have flown. We would never see anything like this on TV. Whereas what you and I are doing right now, this is CNN, NBC.
Everywhere, yeah.
Yes, this is the look. So the standard has changed because the circumstances have changed. So
absolutely. So I have friends in the teaching profession, Tom Greenberg up in Grand Rapids, and Jeremy Salo here at Schoolcraft College. They both had to come up within a week with online style courses.
Sure.
And I was able to present one for Tom Greenberg recently, and it was odd. They had their PowerPoints. They had 14 students in little square boxes,
right.
Like Hollywood squares, and for those guys, it's unusual. So, like you said.
Well, MPI, Motion Picture Institute, just had an open house a couple of days ago, all online. Their instructors were Skyping in.
Yeah.
How do you teach this now? It's supposed to be a motion picture institute, and yet no one can be together.
Right. You're going to have a guy in a studio, holding a camera somewhere and saying,
right.
This is a camera.
Right. It's causing people to have a new way of thinking and how you instruct people, like you said. And are people going to be shortchanged now? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this ends.
Right. Right.
You know,
I mean, we're talking 6 months possibly,
or a year.
or a year. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is going like wildfire, and I don't know, you know, unless a cure comes out and starts saving people in hospitals, I really don't know how this changes. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be Debbie Downer about that, but that's, you know, you pose that question. I don't know. And I have to operate separate from my crew, separate from the talent, separate from everybody, and still put on a product that the public will digest.
Yeah. So, I mean, you yourself as a leader, you know, have to have developed some skills like, you know, centering yourself and grounding yourself in some manner. Right. And,
Yes. I have to be able to still direct the crew, you know, in their various areas. I believe it or not, I'm still the linchpin of the entire production. I am still the Svengali that has to make all the things work.
that's right, Svengali. Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Am I aging myself with that one?
No. Look it up. If you don't know, look it up. Yeah.
Look it up. Right. You got plenty of time to do that now.
Right. Yeah. I love that. So yeah. So there's a lot of people are dealing with this in different ways. We've talked to people that have you know, production companies with a team of maybe, you know, 12 people. They're not furloughing them. They're at home, but they have team meetings every day.
Right.
And that sort of thing.
Learning how to continue your business in a separate fashion in our industry is a true challenge. You know, if there are people who are editors, you know, editing is probably an easier way to go. You can always go into your edit bay, cut video, send out your dailies, and people could see, okay, this is, make their notes that way. Shooters, though, I feel for them because they're out in it and have to be very, very careful. I don't know if any of our shooters are wearing gloves or masks, but I think they're being encouraged to do so. And then you're going into you know, scenes that are maybe not the most healthy in terms of covering the news, and so, you know, there's danger in that regard. So you know.
Yeah, all true.
Yeah,
all very true. So, you know, I've had work calls, and that's interesting. And they're talking about getting back in a couple of weeks. You know, small crew, prompter.
Really?
You know, at a station maybe. They're just looking around to see who would do it, and I might. You know, some people might not.
Sure.
You know, I have to be guaranteed that, you know, I would be insulated.
Yes.
And safe.
And that's very, very true. They have to provide you a proper environment for you to do your work. You know, it's not, you just stand up there on the side of the road, set up your prompter, you know, and anything and everything is out there. Like, no, you need to be in a proper environment. And with all this safeguards nearby, you know, have some gloves and masks and stuff, you know, and spray and wiping down material.
Yeah, I don't think I can type with gloves on in my case.
You sure about that? You know, the little rubber things, you can't.
Yeah, never tried it. I'm gonna have to practice, I think.
You may have to do that. You know, I mean, even though the keyboard is your keyboard, still that might be a skill. Cause I thought about that, bringing some gloves with me and coding with that. I might be able to pull that off.
Yeah, can't cut off the fingertips.
Well, but then that's defeating the whole point of it. I mean, that's, you know.
Yeah, I know. So I'll have to practice that. So that's another thing to do on my checklist.
Yes.
Are you getting any? Are you getting any reading done?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yes, I actually am.
That's great to hear.
There are a couple of books that I've started a while back, and I'm going to try to finish up. And believe it or not, there's writing that I'm supposed to be doing.
I love that. Good. Good.
I'm supposed to write a short screenplay, and I'm being encouraged to write a book, which I've never done. I've never done either one of those. But I was called out, and I'm told I need to get my first chapter done by April 30th. I haven't started any of it yet, but I have to start writing. So, writing and reading.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm writing a little bit myself, but not, anything. I'm not on a deadline, fortunately.
But you've written a book, so actually more than one book. So
yeah.
So this is second hat to you.
A novel is an interesting thing because you have to really develop. In the book I had laid out chapters and what would be within. It's the same with a novel, but the twists and turns, or if you have any, depending on how complex the book would be, that has to be done with various methods, file cards and Post-it notes and that sort of thing.
Well, my book will be nonfiction, so I don't have to worry about plot for that.
Okay.
The screenplay, I started on one, and I'm part of a screenwriting group. Oh. And yes, so we used to meet once a month. We may meet online this time.
Yeah.
And I put that one screenplay down. I was going to start another one. So okay, and I do it in conjunction with my weather guy, Alan Longstreet. He's an actor on top of everything else, and he's been an inspiration. So let me put together another little screenplay that will involve him.
All right.
So let me try to. I can't do a full-fledged motion picture, but I can do a short. So
yeah, that's a place to start. I love that. Good for you. Good luck.
So, right. I don't know what will come of it. I don't know if I can. Used to be you can find some guys who will produce it. Now, not so much. Which is interesting because Alan knew this production group who were making short films. I don't know if they're doing it anymore now. That's another drawback. A lot of people use their creative outlet, and they would make these small, short films. And can they do that now? Is everything at a complete halt?
No, most of the indies that I'm familiar with have halted. Big films too, of course, have halted. Right. Commercials,
yeah. Somebody's making commercials. I keep seeing these spots that are basically these COVID-19 spots. How we're all in it together. So they're still getting work out there. I just don't know where they're doing it, and I don't think they're doing it here.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, I think that, some people, what some people are doing is they have library footage, and they may be just using some of that to put things together. Sure. With a someone sitting in a house doing voiceover.
Right.
I've always been amazed by the people that can put together good content with simply that, with voiceover and all stock footage. I think that's an interesting skill set. I think that you have to have patience and have a very clear vision in your head to know what you're hunting for.
Yep, I agree.
I always believe that it comes back to the writing. If you have good written content, that really is the key. You can have as many effects and things thrown there if you want, but comes down to the basics of if someone can write it and write it with great skill, that's always been the thing that's been outstanding. There's nothing that can beat great writing. So.
Well, Alex, I hope you are able to develop your own style and soon stand out. I'd love to read some of your stuff when you're ready to put it out there.
Oh yeah, me too.
But on that note, I think we're going to have to close this session.
Okay.
And I thank you for joining us today.
I thank you for asking me to do this. I'm very, very honored. Two outstanding men I had the honor to work with in person back when we were able to work in person.